Welcome to Effluvium. This episode we have Super Dacob. He has returned. He joined us for the first season, spring of 2023, along with Jane Daly and Rachel and myself. And he has returned ever so graciously to partake in a discussion on fragrance classification and categorization. Now, at first thought, that might sound like a rather dry topic, but for those enthusiasts out there who get into the nitty-gritty of it and really think about these things, it actually is pretty ripe for discussion, considering we have many different people in our ecosystem: intellectuals, writers, reviewers, content creators, perfumers, people in the perfume industry, who are telling us how to classify and how to categorize. And who has a monopoly on this information? Absolutely no one. But who and what can we trust? How do we make these determinations? And sometimes they can be a little vague or even a bit conflicting or confusing, or dare I say absurd. So we'll have a discussion on that. And of course, we welcome questions, comments, feedback, a spirited conversation in the message section. So why don't we get started here? I'm going to take a look at the comments right now. We're going to wait for some folks to file in. And we have Kuda Bang. Happy Friday, everyone. We have 10 people who are currently tuned in. And don't forget, if you are tuned in, if you could be so kind as to hit the like. It does ensure that this content is viewed, the archived live stream, and that my YouTube channel is noticed in the great arena of YouTube, in the ever so saturated arena of YouTube, saturated even with fragrance content. I can be a needle in a haystack if my supporters don't hit the like, so be sure to hit the like. It really does help the channel. We have PS here. Great to see you again. A second night in a row. That's a rare thing for me. But good to see you again this evening. Bren Lynch. Glad you could catch this one as well. Lovely to see you. Yes, last evening's live stream with Rachel was a real blast. We had some great conversations. Sweet things. Hello to you. And Dacob will be backstage shortly. 14 people tuned in. Don't forget, we also, as always, have Buy Me a Coffee. 6 cups gets you a sample pack. 12 cups, a 4-bottle grab bag, plus a sample pack. US only, please. That also helps the channel, helps me out. You don't have to get the freebies, but definitely is the perk of contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. Okay, so I also have some slides lined up as well. We're going to be looking at some fragrance wheels. I have chosen 4 of them for us to take a look at to sort of be a catalyst for this discussion. We have RN who has joined. Hello, everyone. And you're most welcome. That looks like a very cute little hamster or gerbil or small rodent making some coffee, from what I can tell. Love it. We can also kick things off by asking those of you who are tuned in live here to share their scent of the morning, afternoon, or evening, scent of the day. And I think Dacob's getting closer and closer to joining. I'm going to share my scent of the day here. scent of the afternoon because I had one this morning as well. This is from Maurice et Legrand, Parfumier. This is Foin fraîchement coupé. Foin fraîchement coupé in French is fresh mown hay. This is a classic fragrance of the late 19th, early 20th century, the new mown hay accord, which would often have hay absolute / coumarin, because hay absolute also has coumarin in it. A slew of other things, star anise, aldehydes, a little bit of aldehydes. The earlier ones didn't really have the aliphatic aldehydes because it predated that. It's very lovely stuff like clover. Smells like, what you would find in a place where there has been freshly cut grass. So, foin fraîchement coupé, Rice et la Grande. I'm torn between this one and Santa Maria del Fieno. Fieno is Italian for hay. Both of them are quite lovely. So let me know what your scent of the day is. And we have Not John 9, his scent of the day, Tobacco Reserve Aramis, has been discontinued for some time. It is fetching a pretty penny now for those who are willing to sell their bottle. Scent of the day from RN, sample of Bengal Rouge by Papillon. Dave B, great to see you. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Bren Lynch, scent of the day, Black by Comme des Garçons. And scent of the day, so another one, scent of the day was Black, but now scent of the evening, am I assuming, is YSL M7. Okay. That was one of the first designer fragrances on the market to market itself, if I'm not mistaken, as having an oud accord in the early 2000s, 2003. And coup de bang, scent of the day, Le Lion. All right. I see that my dear friend is in the background waiting for us. Yes. Ready to come in? All right. Let's do it. Let's do this. Hey.
Hi, everybody.
What's up?
Wait, is this thing on? Are we?
We are on. We are on. We are live. We have 21 people who are tuned in at the moment, and we're ready to go. Looking good. Everything's
Oh, you're looking
good.
great. Good to see you.
Thank you. My very, quasi white collar job, business cash. Nice plaid. It's a good old standby.
Yeah, same here. Look at us. Just two lumberjacks. Just
right?
two fragrant bras.
Fragrant bras. I'm just out of the office, and you're on your jaunt to the wilderness in your cabin.
Yeah, and me too. I've just been hatching on. I've been just working on the wood and lumberjacking away. The cedar wood, the other wood, all kind of wood.
All kinds of wood.
Yeah, it smells divine.
Audrey Jane, great to see you.
Oh, hi, Audrey. How's it going? Hi, everybody. By the way, thank you so much for having me, JJ.
Of course. P.S. End of the day, Pierre Guillaume's Arabian Horse. There's a great song by Gus Gus. I don't know if anybody knows of the band Gus Gus. It's one of my faves. And they have a great song called Arabian Horse. And I remember when I was writing a review for it, I was listening to the song because, I just have to always listen to music while I'm writing. Sweet Things. Currently, I'm wearing Fern, Autumn 24, which is supposed to be evocative of quince fruit. There's a little bit of quince around the edges, but it's mostly warm spices, similar to Dior Ambre Nuit. And then we have Jaunty John. Yay!
Thank you, Jaunty John.
Saying nice things. And Dave says hello to you. We're happy to have
Dave.
you here. Why don't we get this started? So, Dacob, I actually put together. This is going to be just sort of motivate the discussion that we have. I chose 4 different fragrance wheels, and I think if this is okay with you, we're just going to dissect them. We're going to take a look at them. We're going to sort of.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're going to talk niche. We're doing it. We're doing niche.
We're doing it.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out my audio here. It's a little bit too low on my end. Hold on a second.
Sounds great on my end, though.
Oh, much better. But I don't know if this is going to be echoing with my microphone. No, on your end, it's fine. It's just for me here in my cabin.
It's important for you to hear it.
Exactly.
Okay. On
okay.
Your
So,
end well.
is there any? No, this is better. Much better for me now. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, you guys. Let me see. Okay, let's do that. The Perfume Bureau has entered the. Did you see my subtitle?
Love it. I never use a subtitle. I should probably make like a clever one every time that I go live. I just have my name.
Let them eat cake. Subtitle cake.
All right, Marie. All right, here we go with the slides. We're going to start with I have a slideshow. Well, not a slideshow. It's not going to be consecutive, but there's slides that we're going to share. We're going to start off with Michael Edwards' one. Is that okay with you?
Oh, so wait, sorry, because as I was trying to like log in.
Yes.
And from my lodge, my cabin.
Yes, of course.
Log.
I know the Wi-Fi can be a little iffy out there, right?
Yeah, log in. See what I did there? Here's the thing. I didn't hear the full introduction. Did you already tell everybody like what we're going to be dissecting? I know the title explains it kind of, but like, did you also like tell more?
We did. Well, so what I did, I summarized by saying that we're going to be talking about categorization, classification. We're going to be taking a look at that, and we're going to sort of unpack a lot of that stuff as well. But if you have some things in mind that I hadn't covered, this is
no, perfect. No, let's take it step by step. No, I just wanted to know, like, do I just dive into it, or do we have to like explain? But you explained everything. Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
Let's get it started. This is the first time I've ever used Google Slides. Watch this. Check this out.
Oh, check it out. Okay.
Right. Now, I can view it this way, or we can do this. And then,
oh my God, look at this. We are so profesh. Loving.
Right. We're in the corner over here and very official. This is a very corporate, right? All right. Take a look at this. So we have, you know what, actually, we do cut ourselves off from that corner there. So maybe we'll do this just so we can see everything.
Oh, can you put us on the other side?
I don't know if that's an option. I wish we actually could.
I'm just saying this because my control monitor is to this side. So it looks like I'm looking now, like I'm looking away from the wheel.
Isn't that kind of
even though I'm looking at the wheel?
Or we could just do this. Do people need to see us? We could just have the wheel up? Or
no, I think they need to see us if you want people to watch more later, a rerun.
Right. Because then otherwise they're going to be.
They're going to get bored.
They're going to think it's just like a PowerPoint.
Attention spans are fickle.
Right. I promise you guys that we're not doing PowerPoints here. So they don't give me an option to do that on StreamYard. I wish that they did. These are pretty much the only options you see.
No, it's okay. Then just put us on the side here. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I'll be looking to the other way, but I'm actually looking at the wheel.
Right,
okay.
Right. You're not distracted by your phone. You're not.
No phone in my hands.
All right. So this is Michael Edwards' Fragrances of the World wheel. So we see that it is divided into these main categories. We have floral notes, ambery notes, woody notes, and fresh notes. Now, Dacob, do you feel that having 4 main categories is enough? Do you think that really covers all bases?
Listen, I'm a big fan of, Michael Edwards. I'm a big fan of Clayton. Ilalahia. Hi, Clay. I don't know if Clayton is watching all the things. He's very busy man. He works for Michael Edwards. Clayton travels the world and collects all the fragrances, samples them, categorizes them, helps Michael Edwards to categorize them, because Michael Edwards is a little bit older now, so he doesn't travel a lot, or doesn't, Clayton basically goes around the world and collects all this information. So Clayton sent me the book a couple of years ago. What was it called again? Fragrances of the World.
So
the Michael Edwards book.
Yes.
Fragrances of the World or Perfumes of the World?
Actually, I have 2 of them behind me. Give me 1 second.
And then they've just now issued the American fragrances also, but they used to, there it is. Yeah, JJ, that's the one. Mm-hmm.
So what I actually have are the Perfume Legends.
Perfume Legends, sorry guys, that's the one. The one. Perfume Legends of the World.
Actually, I'm going to change the view here.
There
Perfume
you go.
Legends
That's the
2.
one. And then there's basically 2 editions of this one. There's like
Right.
there it is, number 2.
This is actually the 2nd edition of the
Yeah,
original. It doesn't mean it's like you should get 1 or 2. It's just this is the revised one. And then
exactly.
we have this newer one, which is really
American Legends. Yeah.
fantastic. American Legends. Yes.
So here's the thing. So when I got the book, I love the stories about every single perfume. Love the history. I mean, what Michael Edwards and his team managed to dig out on certain fragrances, also interviews, like rare stuff with the perfumers. Wonderful book. Highly recommend. But then we get to this.
Hmm.
And here is where things start going a little bit sour for me. Because, like I said, love Clayton, respect very much Michael Edwards as well. But the thing is, and remember, JJ, I sent you a link to Clayton's kind of PowerPoint presentation at, what was it? Essence Fair, Perfume Fair?
Essence? Even though
Okay, la-di-da. Well,
the X
right.
before the S, or the like the S before the X.
Accents. And so he was talking about the niche, right?
Right.
And then this wheel, it keeps coming up. And he said Michael Edwards created this to facilitate commerce of perfumes, because he said up until this point, before this little thing was created, it was kind of a task for the perfume salespeople. Also, you go to Macy's, Bloomingdale's, to perfume counter, and describing fragrances, what Clayton at least said in that live stream that he did, or in that presentation that he did, was, well, you had behind the scenes, the professional world of perfumery. They had their lingo, their very kind of maybe clinical, technical lingo to describe perfumes, but it wasn't really it wasn't a broad spectrum for the audiences, for the clients out there. So it was sometimes really difficult to describe, okay, well, Yves Saint Laurent's opium, like, what is it? What is, I don't know, what is Clinique's
Aromatics elixir,
or something else. Anyway, and then he said, well, Michael Edwards kind of thought it's necessary to create categories to simplify the language, to also make it easier for perfumeries to not just have perfumes laying around randomly as per like what the brand pays. Like, let's say I want to highlight Obsession by Calvin Klein right now, so it's gonna, no, like, to help you categorize even within your perfumeries and say, oh, okay, look, we got here, there's the wheel.
right.
What do we got? Ambery notes, woody notes, fresh notes, floral notes. And then there's subcategories as well there. So you got floral notes, you got floral, soft floral, floral amber. And then fresh notes kind of dive into floral notes, as we see. First, we got aromatic, citrus, water, green, fruity, and then fruity kind of veers into floral. And in fact, we have also a lot of famous fruity florals.
We do.
And it goes like that. And then the floral notes start slowly merging into the amber notes.
Yeah.
We got floral that becomes floral amber, then soft amber, amber, woody amber, woods. And then the woods mix in with the fresh notes, because dry woods and aromatic, they're kind of almost overlapping. So anyway, this simplifies things for a lot of people in a way. But in my humble opinion, the more I was looking at this thing, at this wheel, and the more I was thinking, no wonder people today that are buying perfumes have absolutely no vocabulary developed when they're talking about perfumes, when they're describing the smell. You know, JJ, I mean, a lot of people go to perfumeries and like want to buy a new perfume. First of all, the reasons why people are buying perfumes is like, I'm going out on a date, so I want perfume. I have a special occasion. There's, I don't know, my daughter's graduation, or I'm going to a wedding and I'm invited, and what am I going to wear? Perfume. You buy stuff for that reason. So not many people are geeks like us that wear perfumes for any special private personal. Okay, I wear mostly perfumes at home for myself, but people buy them for social occasions. And then the perfumer or the salesperson in the store tells you, well, yes, we have these categories. And then when you smell a perfume and you don't know anything about the vocabulary, you just say, oh, it smells fresh. Oh, that's nice. It smells powdery, warm, like it. That's it. Oh, spicy. Nice. Yeah, no, I don't want it. It smells too spicy. And that's it. it's like very, very limited. People, it's sad to me. I get it that this facilitates the commerce of selling perfumes, but it kills the poetry. And sorry, I'm blabbering on. You take over. But you know what I'm
No,
saying?
you're fine.
Okay.
I'm inclined to agree, and you know me, I'm the wordsmith, and I don't believe in oversimplifying language in an age where it seems that is really fashionable to oversimplify language to the point where we're losing the capacity to describe things in a more comprehensive way to better understand something. And it's already a known fact that for fragrance we have long had a limited vocabulary, so it seems counterintuitive to me if we have this limited vocabulary that we're not encouraging an expansion of that vocabulary, a lexicon to discuss and describe scent. So I am not crazy with this reductive approach to putting scent into categories, and some of them seem kind of a little too vague to me. And it's you were mentioning the chat that the presentation that Clayton had, and I was surprised that for some reason or other it was decided that opium would be a soft amber.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
and there's one thing about opium to me personally that it is not, and it is not soft.
Oh, wait, you're talking about the perfume now. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
That,
Oh,
that
that
is a chat for
opium.
backstage.
That. Yes. No. Right. Right. Soft. Well, but who decided? I forgot. What did he say in that presentation? Who decided to classify opium as a soft amber?
Michael Edwards, I think. I think it
Good
was
old
just
Michelle.
Perfume Legends.
Period. Period, girl. Period. Bilbo. Hi, Bilbo. Bilbo is like, Dacob is chasing the dragon. Oh, honey. Dacob got a
Perfume
dragon already. He don't need a.
Perfume Legends in their own mind. Rachel, what's going on?
Oh, hi, Rach.
Smells like bubblegum. That is my question here. We have the fruity, but where's the sweet? Because as far as I'm concerned, if we're talking about commerce right now, half of this damn thing needs to be gourmand.
You know what's so interesting, though, when you talk about sweet, because obviously sweet sells, not just food-wise, candy-wise. I mean, we're all addicted to sugar, but
Yeah.
also perfume-wise. But the thing with sweet, and it's always a combination of things, right? Like, for example, in the early 2000s, when uh, when it became really popular to wear and buy perfumes called sweet chulis.
Yep.
Now, what's a sweet chuli? It's a patchouli with a floral added to it. There's no actual sugar. I mean, like the first kind of breakthrough sweet chuli was Coco Mademoiselle, but Coco Mademoiselle, it doesn't have sugar cane accord. It doesn't have a honey accord. It doesn't have caramel accord in it. You know what I mean? Like these things that we associate with sweet foods.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a tart accord.
Right.
It's literally rose, jasmine, patchouli. Sure, there's a smidge of vanilla, but then that's the thing, right? We add vanilla to create more of a sensual, gourmand, some cases sweet accord, but it's not necessarily sugar. And then if we go to see the honey fragrances, they're not sweet at all. Like Bois d'Argent, it's a honey bomb. Nothing sweet about it, not to me at least.
A little more animalic, actually. Honey has some
Right.
facets that are different than
Yeah. So I'm thinking that's why sweet is actually a very interesting accord. It's kind of a recipe. It's always a combination of 2 or 3 of the ones that are available here. Hi, Claire. Oh, look at you. I love the glasses.
I love Claire. Dave B, hey.
Um,
Sorry about that.
no, 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 no. I'm just all fine. You just do whatever you do, and I'll adapt immediately. Don't worry. Yeah. If you're like blending in the text or anything, perfect.
Oh no. I think that you were onto something.
So I think sweet is always like, for example, if we look at this wheel, so it's like, okay, we're gonna do aromatic, and then you add a soft amber, and then a smidge of floral. That's sweet.
I suppose it could be. That's what's so subjective about it, too. You know,
Hmm.
the idea of sweet. And there have been many instances where something that I have worn, somebody will say, "Oh, I like that. That's very sweet," and it would have never occurred to me that what
Yeah.
I'm wearing is sweet.
And this is very interesting because, oh, are we going to get philosophical? Do you want to see us get philosophical?
I think some people do at
I
least.
don't know if you want to, but again, let's talk about Mr. Proust and his search for lost time. Now, you taste something, it brings you back a memory of it. And I do believe when we're very little, it depends on the type of treats our parents were giving or whoever raised us was giving us. That's what we associate with sweet the most. Yeah, sure, sugar, but
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily. It can be something else. And we take that into our adulthood and our kind of grown up selves. And so things that trigger our memories of what is sweet and warm and cozy and feels like home and safe might not be the same type of sweet to you. So my type of sweet might not be your type of sweet. We can all agree that sugar is sweet, but when it comes to fragrances, not always the case that sugar is sweet. Like, for example, hi, Letty, by the way, how's it going, my love? Here's the thing. When it comes to Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances, and I know we're going to talk about niche here, but actually, Gaultier has some niches as well, believe it or not. But,
Mm-hmm.
well, at least in my opinion, if we look at his flankers for Classique, for example, his Classique Eau Fraiche perfumes, usually those flankers have a huge bombastic, like they advertise sugarcane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cotton candy, sugarcane accord. Now, one of the last Eau Fraiche that I bought just for the bottle, by the way, and I'm not doing that shit no more. Okay. But back in the day, a couple of years ago, he released Betty Boop kind of corset for a Classique. So it was a Betty Boop, cute little drawing, and she's like dating Popeye. They didn't do olive oil because Moschino's doing olive oil. So I was
Moschino,
like, oh,
yeah.
this is
Wasn't
interesting.
that like
Betty Boop and
cheap and chic?
Popeye.
Yeah.
Betty Boop and Popeye. I'm like, oh boy, what's olive oil going to do now? But anyway, I guess Popeye's big enough to handle two ladies at once. But
And
so
Brutus.
oh honey, Brutus handles Popeye, if you know what I mean. Talk
I'll
about
pay
a
you next
sweet
Tuesday for a
Julie,
hamburger today. Gladly.
right? But then like that that candy cane, sugar cane, accord. Like there's nothing sweet in that perfume to me. Like if I
Yeah.
actually smell it, there's a ton of ginger, okay, in Classique in general. But I'm like, really? This is what he calls sweet? Huh.
Mm,
And
mm,
I'm like, well, this particular perfume, even though it has a ton of sugar cane, as per its description, I'm like, it doesn't trigger sweet in my mind.
mm.
But then on the other hand, perfumes like from Cacharel, what was it? Yes, I Am, that lipstick one, the
Right.
first one, not the flankers,
Mm.
a ton of caramel and milk. And the milk in there, not necessarily the caramel, but the milk accord in there really smelled sweet to me.
Mm, mm.
So I'm like, oh, interesting. So milk can be sweet now too.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I
Because
thought about it. I'm like, oh, that's because every time I was feeling a little bit anxious when I was very little, or when I was getting the sniffles, what would my mom do? She would put some milk on the stove and melt some sugar in it, caramelize it. And that's my feeling of comfort, of safetiness. Like my sweet memory is milk.
mm-hmm,
And it's not necessarily yours or somebody else's. Isn't
mm-hmm,
that fascinating though?
mm,
So
right.
so that's what I mean. Like sweet is not, like you said, somebody told you that a perfume they were talking to you about is sweet, and you're like, oh, interesting. I didn't think that that was sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And then there are things that I find to be on the pale, beyond the pale, rather, as far as its sweetness, because I think I come from a generation back in my time as a Gen X slash Zennial, we did have our share of sweet stuff, but I really do think that goodies, at least more processed ones, have gotten a lot sweeter in
Oh
more
yeah,
recent decades. I mean, I was really,
especially in America. I mean,
oh my
they're
god,
killing us.
birthday cake flavor, everything.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I don't even have that association with birthday cake flavor. They didn't even start doing those confetti, you know, that kind of stuff until I was too old to care about having birthday cake. But that seems to have a strong association for younger generations, and we're seeing that in perfume as well. We're
Yeah.
seeing, yeah.
And it's also, God, I'm so bad with chemistry, but you know this stuff more. So also interesting, like depending on the commerce, a little bit less culture, but commerce becomes culture, just like Coca-Cola invented Santa Claus, basically.
Right.
So now everybody believes in Santa Claus. Santa Claus was just a marketing strategy to sell Coke, also in winter, because people were buying it more in summer than in winter. But anyway, we digress. Um, uh, and now what was I going to say? Oh yeah, chocolate. Did you know?
Mm,
And this is something in America, people love, not everybody, but a lot of people love Hershey's chocolate.
mm,
Okay. Now, I was traveling all over the world when I was growing up. Long story short, I wasn't raised on Hershey's. Hershey's to me has a vomit accord. And for the longest time, I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I dug into it. And yes, it does on purpose have a vomit accord because Americans love that. Not because they love vomit. No, but because their palate was trained to enjoy that specific, and it has a name, that ingredient. What's it called, JJ? I don't know if you know. Sorry if I
butyr
put you on the spot there. Maybe we should Google it.
in chemistry, it's butyrates.
There you go.
And it's butyrates excuse me, are what make butter smell and taste the way that it does, and milk, and ethyl butyrate is actually used in perfumery, often to create sort of that buttery effect, creamy effect. But when you're looking at chemistry, organic chemistry, and everything's on sort of like a spectrum. So you have on this end, you have like, it's very nice, buttery, milky, pleasant, but you just move the needle over, and as you move the needle over a little bit more and a little bit more, you start to get the vomit.
Mm-hmm.
And because our stomach acids, guess what they also have? They have butyrates in them. So if they have butyrates in them, and then you also eat something with butyrates in it, you're like, oh, I had too many White Russians.
Yeah.
You're gonna have like that, yeah. And milk chocolate, there you go. Milk chocolate, that particular recipe, yeah, you're absolutely right with a Hershey's milk chocolate. For somebody who's not familiar with that, you're going to have sort of that vomit association because you detect that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's insane, you guys. It's that strong. But again, an entire country is used to it, and that tastes good and comforting to people. And
Mm,
nothing wrong with it. It just, all I'm saying is, I'm not passing judgment here. I'm just saying it all depends where you're coming from
right, right. Yeah,
and what you were raised to know. And this then, look at me finally reining it back in after an hour. At this little wheel here, we have been indoctrinated, this entire generation, to follow this.
yeah.
And the more I delve into wearing perfumes myself, reviewing perfumes myself, the more I develop my personal vocabulary, and olfactive sensibility, towards describing what something smells like to me. And the more I do that, and the more I free myself from this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but you see, it's a tricky thing to do because obviously this facilitates commerce, but like I said earlier, it kills the poetry. And so this is why, in particular, when I deliver my list to top this, review that, perfume this, perfume that, sometimes when people just discover like my channel, they're like very confused when they hear the first video of mine, when I talk about perfumes, they're like, wait, what is he talking about? I'm like, well, because perfumes are not just this. Perfumes are not just it smells fresh, panty dropper, date perfume, graduation perfume. I'm like, it's not just floral notes. It's not just ambery. It's not just fresh notes, woodsy notes. I mean, there are perfumes out there that to me don't have any of these, but it's like we're going to press them into one of these categories because it simplifies things. It makes things easier to label. It makes it much easier to categorize these perfumes in a store. It makes it much easier to organize a shop, a perfumery. It makes it much easier to say, look, let's place all of these fragrances. Doesn't matter if it's 20 different brands, but they all kind of could be squished into woody amber. So let's put them there on that shelf. And then, and it facilitates everybody, for the salespeople, it's like, here you go to do that, go there, to buy this, go there. But then I'm like, I have a problem with this. And I do believe that I'm just in the minority here because obviously I'm developing more and more like a depth of, I have a need to go deeper when it comes to loving these fragrances, getting to know these fragrances, whether they be niche, not niche, whatever it is, drugstore perfumes as well. It doesn't matter. Whatever you love, you love. Mm-hmm. But it's like there guts to be more to life than this, I say. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, for example, what other terms can we use? A gazillion. How about we stop using just one word or two word, like soft amber? That's that, soft. I'm like, really? Is it though? Or like amber? Okay, speaking of scent of the day, I'm wearing Shalimar today. The eau de cologne.
We'll be able to see it better that way.
Check this out. I got the eau de cologne, which has been discontinued. What the hell? But this thing, okay, you want a poopy accord, you got it. This has that civet, albeit synthetic at this point, but the cologne is particularly, it's very different from the other concentrations of Shalimar. But there you go. So for example, right, what do they classify Shalimar as? An amber or something? I don't know. What is this? It has vanilla, garlinade. It's like a amber. Is this a soft amber?
Beats the hell out of me based on that whale. I suppose.
You see what I mean?
It's like you have an amber like this, you have an amber like Youth Do, and you have an amber like Dior. It's like, how do you determine which one is soft and which one's heavy? There's no heavy amber.
Right. Okay. Sorry,
I was no spicy amber either.
No, like, and then there's also the political correctness. I know we're not going to talk about this, and I really could not give two toots or cahoots for it. Call it Oriental, call it, I don't care. Call it whatever you want to call
it.
I'm
not policing the way that, it's
whatever. But
there's plenty. There's plenty of people who are covering that stuff.
No, let them eat cake. But here's the thing. It's not even Oriental to me. It's not amber to me. To me, this is like, if you ask me, like, what is Shalimar, and you try to press my brain into using the words of the Michael Edwards wheel, I don't feel comfortable doing that because for me, it butchers this perfume.
Right.
It kind of like, it turns it into a sort of a cripple or an invalid because it chops off its limbs and doesn't allow it to actually talk to me what it is all about. So if I'm going to personally, look at that.
I have a few others. Some of them are a little bit richer and more granular, but this one is pretty minimal as well. But look at this one too.
So, so Shalimar doesn't fit any of those. To me, Shalimar, it's a dream, sometimes a nightmare. And that, Civity Accord in there creates an animalic vision. And I'm like, where's animalic here? You see what I mean? Like, already animalic, lactonic. Where's that in here? Indolic, that poopy accord. Ambergris to me, even though they call it ambergris, darling, it's not a freaking amber. Okay, it is a fecal smell that we associate with our own smell when we go to the bathroom. There's
Right.
a reason, people, why nature made us the way that it did. And so we actually kind of find pleasure pooping. I mean, there's a lot of stimulation going there, but the smell, even though you say, oh my God, disgusting, smells like poop. Uh-uh. There is a component in your own poop that you actually like.
I agree.
Smelling. I know this might be TMI for some people, but come on, let's call a spade here. We're talking perfumes. For the most part, perfumes in the past were made out of anal glands of animals and stuff that today maybe is not legal to do anymore, but let's call a spade a spade. I mean, if we're going to talk pure chemistry here, certain smells, and the French developed perfumes, okay? And you know that those hoes were not clean whatsoever. They were used to smell. Josephine and Napoleon for the first, we have all the mythology, him telling her, honey, I'm coming back for more in 15 days. Stop bathing now. I want you ripe by the time I come home.
I
And
love the
this
word
is what I'm
ripe.
talking about. You see, we have kind of neutered the animal aspect of fragrances. And then we have, people like Jeremy, who's like now trying to bring that back a little bit by talking about panty dropper. I'm like, why don't we add a panty dropper here on this wheel? Why don't we add a panty dropper?
Do you know what I just realized on this wheel too? Is Scent Beauty pretty much just ripped Michael Edwards' wheel? It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, of
If you,
course. But because he literally created this, you guys, and everybody just takes and adds to it or takes away from it. But the whole perfume world works that way today. The commerce of perfume.
look at this one. This one's a little bit better.
Because it has
You,
more words, but it's still the same thing.
it's still the same idea. It's a little better. We have the animalic there. We have a
I love how they
whole
say they don't say camphorous, they say camphoraceous.
camphoraceous. Must you be so camphoraceous all the time?
I can't with you.
Can't
Food
with your
like.
camphor. Hey, Callie.
Hi, Callie.
Dave. I always end up calling him Callie. Dave. New turd. I used to watch that sitcom back in the 80s. Keeping it real. The
No, I
only
mean,
material I associate with poop is oud. Ooh, there's a lot of poopy ones out there. You don't even get me started.
interesting. Yeah, oud is but oud is comes from a tree though. It's not really from an animal, but
Yeah.
no, actually, what is it? A mushroom partially?
So actually, the Aquilaria tree is infected with a fungus, and what the
It's a
tree
it's a
does,
fungus mushroom, yeah.
yeah, it tree in a way to defend itself, it releases this excretion
Hmm?
to defend itself, and it's a result of of the wood, the excretion, and the fungus together, and that is the oud. The whole tree isn't actually oud. The tree is Aquilaria or agar wood, and then the infected part is the oud. But I
Good old
digress.
agar.
Agar.
Agar. That is super fascinating because if we're going to go back, and analyze what is a fungus or what is a mushroom, it's some people, argue it's alive but it's dead. It's plant but it's animal. So there you go. So maybe oud at the end of the day has something animalic about it because fungi are they're aliens basically. They're in between plant and animal. They're in between living and dead. It's a very fast
Most
fungi.
fascinating
I mean, I'm telling
organisms.
you, they're taking over.
And yeah, and I think that I think that we're going to go so tangential right now, but that's just part of what we do. Um, Fungi have a certain intelligence to them that I think that we're just beginning to scratch the surface of it, because as a human species, we are very anthropocentric. So we think intelligence in terms of our own intelligence, and then we evaluate, we sort of create this system of intelligence just based on our own, and that is does a disservice to all the other intelligent organisms on Earth. And fungi have such a complicated intelligent system, And what's even more fascinating is that they're able to interact with other organisms outside of themselves. They can communicate with trees, and the trees can communicate back with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm telling you, that's why I love my mushrooms. I love fungi. I'm inspired by that. But we don't see. Do we have a fungal section here? Do we have a
No,
no?
no, I
Um,
was looking.
I
I
guess it
mean,
would
unless
just
there's a tiny one in the so we have one, two, three, like three circles of hell here. And the most outer circle is teeny tiny
I wish I could
words,
zoom
teeny
in. Yeah.
tiny ones.
Like in vanilla, there's vanilla powdery balsam. Woody has cedar, sandalwood, rooty, patchouli. But then
Mm-hmm.
where's vetiver? If vetiver is not under woody, then where do they put vetiver? It's sort of like you have to do like a sort
Earthy,
of, yeah. I guess it
green, earthy. They put it green, earthy, vetiver. There it is.
interesting, but that reduces vetiver to just one facet because
Completely.
vetiver has so many facets to it. It
Yeah,
isn't just giving off that. And in fact, with all the different phenotypes of vetiver, depending upon where it's grown, what part of the world, they can give off very different characters. So this still is, um, this still leaves a lot to be desired because, I mean, I can
yeah.
look at something like, you know, oh God, some of them I can't read, especially the
JJ,
ones,
where's patchouli? Oh, I
God,
see it, woody.
oh, isn't that interesting? Because patchouli is also earthy.
But it's bordering to animalic. Oh, there you go. And
Okay.
animalic is amber for them. A girl. No. But anyway, okay. So woody
Wait,
is patchouli. And I'm looking at patchouli in particular because vetiver. Wait, how do they call it? They call it vetiverte. No, there's no T.
with a T. Can anybody confirm whether or not that's even acceptable? Darren
We
Allen.
want to know
Hey,
the T. Is vetiver with a T? I
Darren, can
think they
you give us
misspelled
the
it.
T on Vetivert? Vetiver. The color on that
Interesting, right?
wheel sometimes
No,
matches,
I'm just
somewhat
saying
matches the
because, like,
stone.
like, so they would use sometimes patchouli. Okay. So because we're also, thank you, IFRA, we're limiting oak mosses.
Wait, is moss even
Sometimes you
on
take
here at
away
this
the oak
point?
moss, but you compensate oak moss with a blend of vetiver patchouli, and you create kind of an illusion, especially with vetiver.
Those
So where's
draconian
oak moss here
measures.
on the spec? Oh, oak moss? Where is it
Yeah.
on the spectrum? I can't see it.
Is it under green? Because it's not supposed to be. But I think it's funny that pine, juniper, and what is that? Is it even say what it wait, I'm like
I can't.
turning
Yeah, I'm also like, okay, so what we'll go, we'll go. Where's the oak moss?
cedar leaf. I love cedar leaf, but why isn't galbanum under green? Did they just leave? Oh wait, because there's like this is also confusing because there's herbal green and then you have a green and then but why isn't there a green herbal?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, but they're colored green, so herbal is green,
it
but
has
fading
been.
into camphoraceous.
Yeah. Camphoraceous, you're outrageous. And then there's mint, menthol, warm, and then that's
I still
divided
haven't
in.
found oak moss, you guys.
I like how corn mint gets its own category on here. Like, what the fuck? Like, out of
Where
all.
is corn mint? Where?
I know about corn mint. Corn mint is a type of mint that is used in perfumery, but that's
Yeah.
so esoteric to even put in the last the last minuscule category. So when you go to mint, then you go to menthol to warm, there's peppermint, spearmint, wintergreen, and then fucking corn mint. Corn mint gets real estate on here.
Where is it?
So if you look at the top,
Where's
it,
corn mint?
so
Oh,
when
there it
you
is, under mint.
yeah, like to me, like okay, wintergreen, spearmint, peppermint, that's cool. But they had to like, I almost feel like they put it there to give it symmetry. They're like, you
Oh,
know
I see
what?
what you mean.
You know what I
I see what
mean?
you mean.
Like, we have menthol and warm. We got to put a fourth one in there to make it symmetrical.
Oh my God, you're so right. Yeah.
Because then, like, I mean, if they're gonna put cornman on here, why wouldn't they put like a popinax or like Tolu balsam or something under like? It's
Well, a
just kind of a
papanax is an
mix.
incense.
It is. It's an incense. It's a resin. It's
So
in
where's the
ambers.
Poponux here? They didn't put it.
No, that's why I think it's absurd that they would put corn mint.
I mean, it's insane, you guys.
God, I hope frankincense is on here. That's another one I've noticed. Did you notice that none of these have incense?
No, there's no incense. And I do believe that somehow it's not there because when these wheels were created, religion was not very popular.
Oh, religion isn't very popular anymore, indeed.
Well, yeah, but so it's something that is segregated. It's like not a perfume to wear in your body. It's a fume to burn and fill out a church with or any sacred place with. And so there's the connotation. I think it's about like, oh, it's too sacred, it's like too sacred to touch and
mm,
to almost bastardize by placing it on something like this.
yeah.
I think that's the context where, because don't forget the socio-political context when most of these wheels were made. Michael Edwards made his when in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Early 80s. When was it?
Early to mid 80s, I think. Yeah.
And is he Australian?
I think so.
Penal colony.
We obviously did our research here.
It's
No,
from
he is
the penal
Australian.
colonies. Well, there's a whole other can of worms that comes with that. But
Yeah.
I mean, today, you have to add the incenses to a wheel like this or anything. I mean, look, I know this is unpopular opinion. A lot of people really don't like Dior's new look. Not the TV show. That was preposterous. I mean, the actual perfume.
I was going to say.
The TV show sucked big time.
Yeah.
But the perfume, okay. But that thing is frankincense and aldehydes.
Yeah.
A very interesting combination. Sparkly, fresh, clean aldehydes, an overload of aldehydes, and then an overdose of frankincense. And they clash. But on my skin, oh, honey, oh, divine. On other people, it can get a little bitter. It can go a little acidy. It can go weird directions. But I'm like, that perfume wouldn't exist without, it wouldn't be so amazing to me without the frankincense. So you can't just like ignore. Oh, do we have frankincense on the,
Well, now
wait,
we're
this
at
is not Atelier, this is Aftelier?
Aftelier. This is Mandy Aftel. She's the renowned natural perfumer, and this is her wheel, which I would say is probably the one that I like the most. Not that I love any of these wheels, but this one was actually really useful when I was first studying perfume making, because I started off as a natural perfumer. That ended really quickly when I was faced with all these limitations, and everything that came out was all blurry and muddy and not nice to me. And I just want I ended up taking the I got what would you call it? I went to the dark side, and I went to synths. I went to aroma chems. So much for
That's the
green
future.
living. So much for
Well, yeah, what are you
green.
going to do?
So much for green living, considering we are wiping out so many species for the
Yeah.
sake of keeping it natural.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about like the combination of naturals and synthetics, but we could stand to not rely on the naturals as much, because I'm more concerned about protecting species that are threatened because of
Yeah,
over
sure.
harvesting. Totally.
But also wearing perfumes is not good for the environment either. I mean,
Good point.
like something's got to give, you guys.
Yeah.
We all, I mean, we're also an endangered species at the end of the day. All
Yeah.
our times are limited. Okay. So that's the thing. Wearing perfumes is also not good for the environment. Making them is not good for making
Right.
clothes is not good for the environment. It's the most
Right.
polluting industry after the military industry is fashion. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfumes are also terribly polluting. Even making food in factories and huge facilities is also polluting. I mean, you guys, we are there's very little that we can actually do to um, preserve the climate, to preserve, nature nowadays, really. And I mean, I guess you would need to buy your little cottage like I just did here, and do your own preserves and do your own little farming and composting stuff, but like who does that? Most people live in big cities and ain't nobody got time for that, you know. So,
Right. I say
but
pick
back
pick
to
your
this
poison,
just
and
oh sorry, what?
no, I just said pick your poison.
Pick your poison. Pick and choose your poison. But when it comes to perfumes in general, now whatever, that's a whole other can of worms. Like what's good for us, what's bad for us. You're gonna have the keyboard warriors wanting to, tell you what you got to do, not do. But I would personally, and again, this is Michael Edwards creating the wheel.
Mm-hmm. And everybody
I would
is,
never,
yeah.
I would never work in a wheel. But when it comes to perfumes, like to me, so when I envision the world of perfumes and the olfactive aspect of them and the nuances and the accords and I wouldn't even call them families, but if you want to start categorizing, to me it expands like roots of a tree, but it's actually linear. So I envision perfumes as a linear. The straight line starts with you, the individual, and your memory, your past, your life, everything. And then from that we expand in the directions. The roots start growing from this line, they start spreading up and downwards, but the line keeps elongating more and more. And the roots spread more and more the more you get to experience perfumes and the more you get to know them, the more you develop your vocabulary to describe them for yourself, and the more fine-tuned you become to the actual nuances that every fragrance has. By this, I don't only mean that these are kind of obsolete, really. Like like I said again, they facilitate commerce, but that's it. But we realize, just like JJ said, oh, somebody told him that a perfume that they were wearing smells sweet to them, and JJ's like, doesn't smell sweet to me. Interesting. Why? The same perfume might smell different to you than to me. You might describe it differently than I do, because our memories and our emotions and our sensibilities, sensitivities, our history leads us, also our own um, hormonal composition and DNA of our own bodies leads us to perceive a perfume in different ways. So we can all try to press ourselves into these little patterns, just like society tries to press us into conforming. This is how you have to dress. This is the outfit that a boy has to wear. This is the outfit that a girl has to wear. The same thing is happening with this. Okay, this wheel is there to conform, label, simplify commerce. That's all it is. But in reality, if you start to get to know perfumes, all of this just falls apart. I never look at these wheels, okay? Like to me, it's like, no, I'm like, stop for a second. Let me wear the perfume. Let me try to listen to the perfume. What story does it tell me? And when I review a perfume, I share with you guys the story that that perfume tells me. That's my accord. That is my wheel. Okay, if it has to be a wheel, just for the sake of argument here, an explanation, simplification, but it's the story. And here's the twist. That story that perfume tells me today while I'm reviewing it is not going to be the same story that same perfume might tell me just a few weeks from now. That's how beautiful it is. That's how incredible perfumes are, because they keep evolving. Also, as they age, ripen, as they oxidize more, the more you use them.
Yeah.
Also, your skin chemistry changes all the time. The weather outside, like the weather changes all the time. Sometimes you're grumpy, hungry, not hungry, satiated. It's wet outside, it's dry outside, it's humid, it's hot, it's cold. Perfumes react to that as well. So all of a sudden, all of these particles fall into place and create a puzzle today. And that puzzle is going to look very different tomorrow with the same perfume. And I understand that for the sake of commerce, that makes it impossible to classify a perfume, but we know better as consumers. We should be the ones who actually stand here and say, you know what, I'm not going to take this.
You want to get rid of it? Do you want to, let's chuck these
Yeah,
wheels.
break the wall, break the
Bye-bye.
barrier.
I'm getting them out of here. Remove
Period.
from studio.
But very much appreciated that gorgeous presentation you did, JJ. Fabulous.
Thank you. It's all my years and working in, office cult, like, yeah, that's
Did you see, guys? Ah,
yeah, it's
technicality, baby.
slideshow. I only wish it was a little bit more uh what's the word I'm looking for, a little bit more advanced, so we could have done some zooming in so we could actually see that fine print. But hey, it worked. And I felt like the one wheel that I used of Mandy Aftel's was useful learning the ropes as a perfumer. But as far as for commerce and as far as the perfume consumer and wearer, I don't think it's particularly useful at all.
Right?
I don't. And I think what we're touching upon is nuance, which is something that we need a lot more of in conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And in something that we love so much, I think that it is unfortunate when and I use this word again, the theme is reducing, when we flatten the experience to a notes pyramid, when we flatten the experience to whether or not it's a vintage or if it's a current one, what batch code it is. The usual conversation. And that's why I've always appreciated you, Dacob, is because you're able to articulate your actual lived experience with scent. And you can illustrate that in the words that you share with us all. And I think that is, it's a really remarkable talent. So I really do respect that a great deal. But I think it's something a lot of us can relate to as well. So the more of us who are bold enough to think outside of the box and express our relationship with scent in those ways, the more others may feel like this is okay. I can do this as well. Like, I don't have to.
Oh, thank you, JJ. You're always so kind to me. Thank you. Thank you. Most people are not. So thank you so much.
I
love you too.
I like how you lean in when you say that too. Most people are not.
Most people are not.
But I really do appreciate. Well, you know what? Because the way that I look at it is, if they're being unkind to you in the context of that, it's probably because they might be a little bit envious because they can't articulate their relationship with scent in that way, and maybe it's a little bit of envy. I don't know. I don't want to put that bug in your head, but that's just
But I think it all boils down to this, I believe. How much certain human beings, given the context of their background, where they were raised, and how society presses them in a certain norm or form or mold, it's about how much a person allows themselves to tap into their emotions, and how much a person is in denial of their emotions and doesn't allow themselves to feel too much. There's a lot of people out there, especially in the corporate world, honey. Okay, the sociopaths, they are so disconnected from empathy and any form of emotion. So they come across my channel and see a highly emotional review of something. Uncomfortable. For them, uncomfortable, because they're seeing something that they are working so hard on personally to cover up their emotion, to bury deep their emotions. And then you see my review, and like the emotions are bubbling in the surface, and they're living happily in the open, and the emotions are not something to be afraid of, something to embrace, because that's what perfumes deliver. They deliver emotions. And so people that don't allow themselves to feel anything but want to wear perfumes, I'm like, you're crazy. How can the two coexist? Oh, I see. That's why we have a German developing that travesty of a perfume, the molecules. There you go. Of course, it had to be a German. It had to be a German to develop the only perfume that doesn't have an emotion. Molecules 01. Of course, it had to be a German.
Well, that's why also I think a lot of the, I think so. I also think a lot of the Ormond Jane kind of comes off as being detached as well. Like, I appreciate the one I do appreciate of Gesashön. I do appreciate Tolu. I feel like he
Oh,
showed a
wait,
little.
I never know how to pronounce it. I always say it's Knizetsen.
Which Kanitsa
Yeah. What is it? Nice Zen, nice 10?
Kanitsa 10 is that? Yeah.
Well, la-di-da.
But Geza Shun. He
Who
did
gives a shin?
Don't go Shan.
You
No,
give
he
a
does.
shin.
He does
Okay, we all give a.
he does the essential molecules. He's one of the house perfumers for Ormond Jane. He did Tolu, and I think with Tolu he actually showed some vulnerability because it actually feels somewhat warm. It feels somewhat human. I mean, come on, you're working with a fucking concept of Tolu balsam. How can
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it was kind of
Yeah, I know
hard
what
for
you
him
mean.
not to be. But yeah, he's a tough one for sure. Algebraeus says molecules didn't come up with the concept first either. Helmut Lang had a perfume that was 100% Velvione. Oh, I remember that.
Another German.
I know, Helmut Lang, right?
I don't know. Wait, where's Helmut Lang? I mean, the name sounds German, but I don't know if he was born in Germany or if it's just his heritage.
Heritage. Velvione, yes. Yeah. And I remember it was pretty expensive too. Velvion's a beautiful musk, actually. The name is perfect for it. It does have this texture to it. It's very
like a velvety texture.
Like the very it has like sort of this velvety texture. I love talking about metaphors and scent because I mean this has a lot to do with the fact that we have such a limited vocabulary and limited language when it comes to scent. That we often end up turning to other senses. So we think of the texture. So that sense of touch. Taste is adjacent, so obviously that often comes in. But also, I love using the less likely ones like sight and sound. You think of visual art and the analogs in scent and also in music as well.
Yeah.
Because you have things like accords, you have musical chords, timbre, volume, so different techniques, different stuff like a glissando, a crescendo. I love that stuff. That's when it's fun, when you can sort of turn to the other senses to kind of paint more of a picture. And I think
you guys, let me in Italian you say spizzare una lancia, which means let me break a spear for JJ, because people also, this is the thing, okay, keep it real. What you just said now, the crescendo, or depending, in Italian it's crescendo, but you can say crescendo. The timbre or the timbre.
Timbre.
No, here's the thing. What comment is that?
Wait. What the hell?
So here's the thing. So, you can. People sometimes throw shade at you, right? And let me tell you, you guys, there's a different. Some people out there are going to want to spend a lot of time acting snobby, elitist, using the bougie words. Okay. That's not JJ. Now, there's a difference between somebody trying to act like they know more than you. They're going to try to act like they're academics, okay? But then there's a very small, and that's not JJ. But then there's a very small amount of people out there who are really nerds and authentically in love with this shit. That's JJ. So when he talks about these things, don't misunderstand that. Don't think that he's talking that way because, oh, look at me, I know stuff you don't know. Absolutely not. He's doing that out of love and passion for these things because they tickle his pickle. You know what I mean? He really loves this stuff. And I get it. I totally get it. And I love when you do this. I also love your descriptions on Instagram. Like every little thing, you see a whole world in something so tiny. And it's like zooming it in. And you open up a bigger sphere. That is fabulous.
You know what's kind of funny about this? And I'll tell you.
No, famous YouTuber, no. He doesn't write a tad bit bougie.
So I'm not,
okay,
because here's the thing. I'm not bougie. I didn't come from a bourgeois background.
People don't get it.
A blue collar working class background. I came from humble beginnings, as they say. I didn't grow up wealthy. I did not. Far from it. So I don't really even know the full bourgeois vocabulary. In fact, I live in Massachusetts, where if you're familiar with Massachusetts, there's a lot of fucking wealthy people in this state. And I don't fit in with
Yeah.
upper middle class, intellectually elite people in America. So, as a matter of fact, like, this is all fucking homegrown. Like,
Hmm.
I've always felt like an alien, sort of in this world, and the way that I express and articulate things. That's why I hope that I can beat, stealth GPT for as long as I can, and convince
No,
people
but
like
also
this
don't
shit's
let
coming
that
from
get
my
to
brain.
you.
No, I
Don't
know.
let
I
that
don't
get
let
to
it
you.
get to me because I know who I
No,
am.
when somebody criticizes, when somebody throws shade at you, you know what? Let those bitches eat cake. Because honestly, thank God you're here and you exist and you have a channel like you do, because it's fabulous. And I'm telling you, sometimes it gets to you, right? When the trolls come, when the idiots come, and the cretins want to do, you just like, yeah, sometimes it gets to you because you can't constantly be on alert. 100 percent, 24/7, 7 days a week. Like, sometimes your guard is down because you got other shit to deal with in your life on a daily basis. And then that comment comes in at just the wrong time and it strikes a chord. And you're like, damn it, why did I let it get to me?
Yeah.
We got to learn to not let it get to us, because
Yeah.
you are highly appreciated and very much loved, JJ. So do not let that crap get to you. And same applies to me. I get a ton of crap every day. We have to learn water off a duck's back. Seriously, very Jinx Monsoon. But honestly, that bottom line. So I'm happy when I hear JJ talk about the crescendos and the whole, because these are flavors. You
Yeah.
understand? Words are
Textures,
like flavors
flavors,
in perfumes. They're like accords, nuances. We
moods.
need these words to also facilitate the connection between our emotions and the description of the emotions when we talk about them to other human beings and we wish to describe fragrances. Same applies to music, just like JJ said. I mean, how do you talk about a song you really love? Yeah, you can read the lyrics, but it's not just that. It's also about the vocal performance of the artist. Like, what sort of tune from their soul kind of pops out when they want to convey a certain emotion. Yeah, they sing a lyric, or sometimes it's an abstract, just looking
Right,
at you,
right.
Yoko Ono. But sometimes,
Walking on thin ice.
there you go. Or Laurie Anderson, also another one I love. But
Yes. Ha 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 ha. Better stop that while I'm at it. But
wait,
oh
what was I love
Superman?
that one.
Oh
Eagle
oh
strikes the weasel. Weasel
Superman.
bites back.
Oh, I know that one too. Oh God, we're hopping from album to album.
Weasel
Laurie
bites
Anderson
back.
has been one of my heroes since I was very young. I
Yeah.
remember my fifth grade teacher had us listen to Big Science, the whole album, fifth grade,
Oh
and that's when I
man,
first learned
eye
performance
opener.
art. Yeah,
Eye
she's great.
opener. Laurie Anderson and Lou Reed, baby. Oh my God. But
Yes.
yeah, no, but she, to me, like, why am I mentioning Laurie now? Because Laurie, her music is perfume to me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, perfume
Yeah.
can be music, music can be a perfume. I have a specific smell in my essence every time I listen to her music. And that's why I love her music so much, because it's so brutally direct. It's like she's formulating, it's like she's putting um, ingredients together like a chemist to create music, but she does it so clinically that it becomes a formula. And it's like a perfume. Every time I hear one of her songs, especially The Weasel and the Eagle. Oh, I forgot the name of the song, but
I'm
yeah.
adding a slide here because I have a different kind of wheel to share.
Oh, show.
And this wheel is not a perfume wheel, but it is so relevant. And it has to do with mood. I'm going to try to launch this here in Google Slides and get this. No, let me try to do it this way.
Oh, I love
But
how Claire Zimberlin is like, did anybody else laugh when Dacob Perfume Bro in his lumberjack shirt powdered his face? Claire, I'm glad you noticed. Of course, the whole Perfume Bro is a joke, obviously, because,
yeah.
oh, honey, they don't get much more gay than I do. You know what I mean? So this
And
is all tongue in cheek. Um,
And we're
I
all
can't
here
wait to
for
see the
it.
wheel.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay.
There's no. Okay, I'll read some chats while you
Yeah.
are.
While I'm looking for it, because
So
it's coming up.
Ricardo Neves, how's it going, Ricky? There's no other way to talk about things we don't see. Period. Period. We are sentient, says speechless Dacob. Ciao. What do you mean? Oh, honey, I can always talk. Honey, I could be laying in a coma and I'll turn around and tell you something and then go back. Or I don't know if we are sentient and speechless or if I'm speechless. Well, anyway, RN says life is too short to be a hater. Oh, period. Well said. Hi, Filippo Merelli. Ah, we are sentient. Oh, yes. Speechless is the title of Laurie Anderson's song. Yes. Thank you so much. I love that song so much. Algebraist says, I got a lot of hate online for calling out reviewers who very coincidentally happen to be able to smell every single note in the infamous marketing
Oh, can we
pyramid.
talk about that? Oh my God.
So
And
wait,
then
spill the names. Who?
and well, there's so many names we would have all night. We would have to spend a week. But people who they take whatever's on Fragrantica or base notes as gospel, and there will be this is a perfect example. So right now we have the new release from Arquiste. So the new release from Arquiste, Almond Suede. Fragrantica erroneously listed concrete as a note, and
Hmm.
it is actually cistus concrete, which is the waxy substance that is used to extract, solvent extraction into an absolute from cistus, which is part of the leaves and the petioles and the stems of the labdanum plant. Short of the story is people people are doing reviews talking about how they smell concrete, like concrete in a spinning truck that is used to pave and make buildings and stuff like that. So that's an example of it. There is no concrete note. It's just for
But don't
Grantica.
underestimate. Yeah, but don't underestimate
Oh, the power of
the
suggestion too.
yeah.
Right. No, that's a good point. No, I
Because
agree.
like also remember when I reviewed Comme des Garçons homonymous, but it's called tape. Well, people call it tape. There's no tape smell in that perfume,
Right.
but there is because they tell you there is, and you just go with it, And of course, the Hawthorne delivers that
Ooh,
kind of
I love a good
illusion.
Hawthorne Accord. So apparently I had to make this into a PDF in order to share it. So I'm doing that right
Okay.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Use PDF. Okay. And now we're going to try to share it. So this is a feelings wheel. Google Slides, my computer. We're going to go upload a file. Hopefully it will show it now. Here we go. I hope this works.
Oh, Oscar Mauricio Arunada got Giorgio Beverly Hills for my girlfriend based on Jacob's review. I hope she likes it. It's a beautiful, beautiful white floral from the 80s, you guys. And it's a cheapie nowadays. A little bit watered down, but I still adore it to bits. Love Giorgio.
So I'm going to give up on it, Dacob. It's just I'm not going to waste our time anymore. But after
You can
this
also,
stream.
if you have it on your phone or iPad, just lift it in your camera.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
guess I could kind of
I
just
do that all the time too.
email
Yeah.
it to myself. Entertain the audience here while I attempt it.
Yeah, sure. Or you can send it to me. I can lift my iPad if you don't have an iPad.
No, I think I can do this. No, I can.
Because then I have a bigger screen than I can do
Yeah.
this.
I don't have an iPad. I have a phone, but I don't think I have your email address, and you're not about to give it to me live. So
No, email address. No, it's fine. I have a public email address, superdacob@gmail.com. That's fine.
Why don't we do that?
Yeah, or send it to me on Insta, whatever you want.
Oh, I'm gonna do that. Feelings wheel.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, Algebra says I can make some fresh original Georgia if you want. It's a well-known formula. We'll go, Algebra. You go, girl. Oh, listen, but with the are we talking with the OG musks and civet? The poopy ones? Are we talking watered down synthetic formula? I don't know. Claire says, Claire says, I follow your channel, Jacob. I thought you knew all of us and all the hairs on our little heads. Well, here's the thing, Claire, I don't see unless you don't publicly list that you're following somebody or subscribe to somebody, but it usually I get to know my viewers when they start commenting and I read your comments, because that's when I get familiar with a name. And the more a person comments or interacts in the live stream, and the more I get to know a person, right? And then I remember a person. But there's a lot of, we call them lurkers, people who are just not in the mood to comment. And that's fine too. People who are not in the mood to leave too many chats or comments and just like to watch and, enjoy just being in the background. And that's fine as well. But then, of course, I don't get to know you when you do that. So for me, you know what I mean? It's always about, wait, hold on. Did JJ send me something?
I did. I sent it to you. So now.
All right. Hold on a second.
This is true.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that,
Okay, it's a teeny tiny wheel.
oh man.
No. I mean, it's a ton of words, but I can zoom it in. Hold on, you guys. Yeah. Okay. So let me. Yeah. I have a green screen on, so the green might not be visible, but the other colors will be.
Oops.
No, I can turn it to the side.
That kind of that would represent my moods half the time.
Wait, hold on. Right? Okay.
Just like
focus,
I'm not here.
Camera. Okay, so let me zoom into one. Okay, so you have surprised, startled. I get it. The emotional spectrum here.
Yeah,
look at that.
Yeah, there you go. So it starts off as a surprise and then it gets more granular. It splits into things like shock, dismay, disillusion, perplexed, astonished, awe, eager, energetic. I think it's great. My therapist gave this to me. Yeah, I'm very open about having a therapist or having had a therapist, and I was sent this as a guide, and it has guided me also in my writing as well. So what I can do as well is after our live stream, I'll share this with folks on Instagram and people can really take a good look at it. But I think it's the kind of wheel that is useful.
I love the gray. The gray one is my favorite.
Yes.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
hold on. Let me block this thing from turning around like a crazy person. How do I block my thing? Oh, got it.
Disgusted. I like how disgusted
This is my favorite.
Yep,
I
it's
am
in
always
gray.
disgusted. I'm always
Now,
disappointed. And I'm always revolted
yes.
and nauseated.
Judgmental, embarrassed, appalled, revolted, nauseated, detestable, horrified, hesitant. All of these adjectives I've used to describe the fragrance community over the past couple of years.
Love that for us. But also, you see, again, I would change this wheel. I wouldn't put they want to put gray to these emotions because they want to tell you like, oh, these are the negative ones. No, I would put pink. My disgusted is pink. My disapproving is green. My judgmental is a gorgeous magenta. My appalled is yellow. My revolted is purple. My nauseated is a cobalt blue. My detestable is a pearlescent, glittery nuance of the colors of the rainbow. You know what I mean?
Somebody wanted me to
what about
explain
this one?
shift space.
Sad. Of course, they had to do blue. Of course, sad is blue.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Wait, why is sad this way around, but these are upside down?
I think because eventually they had to turn it around because it's a wheel, or else like
all the other ones are aligned.
I guess that's. Oh wait,
they made a mistake.
Hold up, I'm gonna look at my copy here. Sad, happy. Oh, it all depends on how you look at it. So I guess they wanted to, but oh, that's so weird.
It's a mistake.
That was the one pie where I get this is, but if you look at the other categories, half of them are in one direction and half are in another. Take a look at that. Like lonely, vulnerable, and despair are in one direction, and guilty, depressed, and hurt are in the other. And then when you look at the more granular ones, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but they're all turned the right. They're all turned on the same level except for sad. Sad is upside down.
Yeah, sad can be upside down. Hey Jamal, shift space. Shift space is when you combine two different materials and it essentially makes a new material. So you have different shift spaces where for example, you use methyl anthranilate and you add hydroxycitronellol. That's one shift's base, and it creates like this whole new sort of scent profile, which is, you know, the sum is greater. Wait, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, kind of thing. That's one example. There's a few. There's indoline. Indoline is another shift's base, which I think is a combination of methyl and thranolite. And indole, one of our favorites. We know about indole. It's a little stinky. It's a little like camphor. It's a
Pooperella, baby.
It's mothballs and that little sort of like highlight of poop that
Yeah.
you have in things like tuberose and jasmine and stuff. I was too lazy to give a chemistry lesson, as if I have the bandwidth, but I somehow managed to push my way through that. Give us a Pixar villain. Interesting.
Best believe. Pixar. Can you give me a better villain?
So,
why does everything why does everything have to be ruined by Disney?
So lowbrow.
Yeah.
The one in Giorgio's Helionol in methyl and thranolate, not banned, thankfully. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that there's always the methyl and thranolate in order for it to be a shift space. It's methyl and thranolate and its reaction with other materials. Unless...
So, but algebraist, what did they do to Giorgio to make it smell watered down then? Are they just using ingredients to save money, to cut costs, like a little...
Yeah, they probably stopped using the shift space because that's extra effort.
I see what you mean. Oh, Claire says, no, because like I bought Le Lion and I shared on your channel. Oh my gosh, okay. Are you still enjoying Le Lion, by the way?
I still enjoy Le Lion. It seems really polarizing though, for whatever reason.
The problem with Le Lion is, you guys, it's a very, very old school approach to perfumery, okay? And a lot of people have the attention spans of fruit flies, and they do not give it more than 2 minutes.
Yep.
The problem with Le Lion, it's not a problem really. It's just shows how good a perfume it is. When you spray it on, it's not good because it's an old school perfume. It takes at least 40 minutes to become incredible. You gotta power your way through the bombastic opening, the aldehydes that are annoying because it's a lot. It really roars in your face when you spray it on, and a lot of people get turned off by it immediately. They're like, I don't like this. I'm like, oh, shut up. Give it 40 minutes and then let's talk. So then after 40 minutes, you see, you tame the lion. 40 minutes in, becomes a soft, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous labdanum. You guys, if you give Le Lion at least 40 minutes, I kid you not, you will smell one of the most beautiful labdanums ever. That shit in Le Lion is top-notch quality. That labdanum, or whatever synthetic component they use for it,
real. It's real.
It really smells real to me too.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. And then as it kind of warms up with your own chemistry and it starts vibrating and pulsating after 40 minutes. I kid you not. Back in the day when I was more of a regular at Chanel in the actual fashion boutique, I was not that good a client to get a free bottle, but the fashion boutique actually to their good client, when a new Les Exclusives perfume launches, oh yes, those bitches get 200 milliliter bottles for free. Okay, and they don't even care about them. In fact, my sales associate back then, we're talking 2021, 2022, told me, Dacob, nobody wants this perfume. Like, we're giving it to our, VIP clients free, and they go, oh my God, this is disgusting. And then, of course, my sales associate also, she doesn't really care about perfumes. Most of Chanel perfumes don't even smell good to her. And she's like, yeah, I smelled it out of the bottle. Oof, too powerful for me.
Ooh,
okay.
That's not good.
Fast forward about a year later, I come to the boutique and I'm wearing Le Lion, right? And I sprayed it on about 2 hours before. And I sit down, we start talking, and she's like, oh my God, you smell so good. What is that? And I'm like, it's Le Lion. She's like, what? I've never smelled this on a person like this. I'm like, that's because nobody gave it the minute of the day. You need time. And she's like, oh my God, this smells incredible. I'm like, you got to give it the time it needs. It's an old school type of perfume. It's not formulated like these modern day trinkets that are supposed to smell pleasant to you the first second you spray it on, but then the dry down is shite. But that's the thing.
Oh my God, most of the time that's what it is. They try to reel you in with those top notes, and then it's just a
Yeah.
bait and switch. Yeah, totally.
Oh,
That,
yes. And then you really, guys, you can tell if a perfume is good by the dry down.
yep.
If the dry down is a screechy
Mm.
chemical mess, you best believe that's not a good perfume. Okay. So I would not be put off by a complicated opening accord, opening notes. That would not deter me. Quite the contrary. If the opening notes smell difficult to me, I get intrigued and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Let me give this one a whirl. Because most of the time, when the opening is difficult, the dry down is blissful. Trust you me. Give it a whirl. But of course, everything we say in this live stream is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged and just my opinion and JJ's. Just
Thank you for making sure to include that. I
oh
never include
yes,
that in my own live streams, so
no,
I'm
always
probably
do, JJ.
facing some liability on my hands. Um, I don't think that Chanel is using a Firmenich fractional distillation of labdanum,
No, they
but
don't. Firmenich is Dior. LVMH uses them,
yeah, but it
not
reminds
Chanel.
me of one that Firmenich provides called Dynarome, because there is that really chewy, dusty kind of element to the labdanum, and Firmenich has this fractional distillation of labdanum called dynamone. It's kind of animalic, very ambery, and that's what it reminds me of. But I'm sure it's not being used. Maybe another type of fractional distillation that brings out some of those best qualities that comes from
Interesting. But
cis
JJ and
Latin
at this
fizz.
point, algebraists, you guys, like, or algebra. Well, JJ believes it's the real labdanum, but algebraists, do you have any intel? Is the Le Lion labdanum like?
Well, he mentions 2% labdanum absolute. That's a good amount. Because when we think of percentages, sometimes those who are not familiar with the perfume composition, the way that formulas are
Yeah,
put together, like, oh, 2%, that's hardly anything. But
yeah.
labdanum is a high impact material. It's really going to make a presence, and that's a large amount. That's going to
You see,
really
this is
be an
why when Le
overdose.
Lion came out, a hoe stocked up. I bought bottles because I don't want Chanel to like start watering down to save a coin. To be like, oh, let's do instead of 2%, let's do 0.5%, because people, blah blah blah. This is why I also always say when a new perfume is released and you like it, you double down, you triple down on it, because you best believe sooner than later. With Chanel, I haven't experienced that as much, and also I gotta say, up until now, when they do reformulate stuff, you feel that they're still trying to preserve a certain level of quality. But with Le Lion, I mean, you guys, what a wonderful perfume. So
Impressed with the
2% is a lot.
quality.
But so labdanum is not considered an allergen, because otherwise they would have to write it in the ingredients. And Chanel does not place labdanum absolute in the ingredient list of the perfume.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they would have to only if it was an allergen.
That's the thing. There are very few raw materials that I do find appear in the allergens list and ingredients. The only ones that I often do see are that of Avernia prunastri or
Mhm.
Avernia
Furfuracea.
furfuracea, exactly, tree moss. But
Mm.
yeah, I don't really see any of the others.
Mm-mm.
So if my memory serves me, which is not going to serve me very well after this week of work, there may be some components in it that could be potential allergens, but I don't think that there are very many. It's not one of those that is heavily regulated, honestly. I don't think that it's very, not heavily regulated, heavily restricted.
Yeah.
Regulated is a different word, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
And algebraists can does extrapolate here by saying an ingredient can be restricted by IFRA, but not required to be displayed in the allergens
Well, of
INCF
course,
list.
because IFRA doesn't have the authority to tell you that something is an allergen. I think some health authorities have to declare it
It's
an allergen.
EU. The EU, it comes from the top down with EU and their draconian measures, and then IFRA is trying to juggle it all together, and trying to advocate for the perfume industry, but then at the same time having to communicate with EU. A lot of people can elaborate on this much better than I can at this point.
Yeah.
Can't you tell I had a tough work week?
No,
Um,
actually, you're fabulous. No, no, no. You are perky, bubbly. No, no,
oh,
no.
thank.
Amazing. You're doing great. And also, can you tell that I only slept 2 hours?
Well, that's less sleep than me, so I'm really impressed.
Let me
I
tell you,
had
it's
6.
no, but you're helping me out because like because then I'm missing a word and then JJ jumps in like before when you jumped in and helped me out with the and I forgot it again. When I said yeah, the milk, the smell of tape and this and oh, concrete. And then
Concrete.
I said
Yep.
there's something to be said about when
The
brands
power of
want you
expression. It's the
the
power of suggestion.
suggestion. There you go.
Yep.
He helped me again.
There
You
is
see?
something really important with that, and that's why it's hard to make the distinction. But I can't help but to think that sometimes when people are somebody is writing a review that they are leaning too heavily on the notes pyramid, and then the power of suggestion comes in. But then it's so funny when they say that they're smelling like something that's for the most part a fantasy note, and
I
they're
gotcha.
claiming that they pick up like, oh yes, the gladiolas it's very very strong in this, and it's like that's just a little bit of poetic license because I don't think that any gladiolas have a scent. But
Wait, but
then
you were yeah, but
uh,
then
no, but then there's some perfumes where like somebody who's like, well, actually, tulips don't have a scent, and I call bullshit on that because there are some tulips that do have a very noticeable scent, and then
same
there's
with camellias. Some
camellias,
camellias are fragrant while
exactly.
others are not. Yeah.
Dahlias too. A lot of them are scentless, but there are some varieties that do. So it's there's always going to be these exceptions to the rule. Pretty. Some of them do have a scent. Some of them have like a chocolatey patchouli scent, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree dahlia. Look how $1, 25 cents. Look how beautiful this thing is. It's a dahlia.
Are you serious? We will be losing heliotropin most likely. Like completely. We can't even use the replacers, or I don't know if heliotropex is a really good replacement for it, but that's one of my favorite materials. And it's not because it can be used to create ecstasy, isn't it? Like I think heliotropin is one of the base materials that can. That's why it's so heavily regulated. Is you can
Oh,
actually.
honey, people smoke any plant they can get their hands on.
I,
When I was in high school, I had kids that were like, "Oh, we're getting high on mimosa." I'm like, "The drink?" They're like, "No, they actually smoked mimosas, the
the
flower."
flowers they've rolled
Yeah,
them. Well, because I think it has like a component in the flowers that's also in nutmeg. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
they
I'm full
looked
of shit.
fabulous though. They would roll these gorgeous little yellow puffy flowers in this thing, and they were like, "Want a puff?" I'm like, "Honey,
Smoke
in
them
a
if you got them.
perfume I can wear it, but not." Yeah,
Love
mimosas.
mimosa.
Can you believe? Don't do this at home. Zon Zue.
Yeah, we're not.
Wait, yeah, Comet has a lot of heliotrope. By the way, I almost finished my
Gourmet.
bottle. Can you believe?
I've never smelled it. I haven't had the opportunity. I know. Shame on me, right?
You're gonna hate it in the beginning.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm so open minded. I really
This
am.
thing is so incredible, but it is clinical. This is a clinical perfume. It is clinical.
Oh no, I figured as much, Jamal. I already know that it doesn't have to do with the license to use heliotropin. I figured it's some other sort of EU restricting that's going on, which is really unfortunate. One of the reasons so many perfumes smell the same, apart from the budget, is we're losing more and more tenacious materials for the dry out. Except we still have plenty of the ambroxan, still have plenty of the woody ambers.
You know, the Ambroxan, I really think it's a trend.
You
And
think
it's
so?
been a trend for the longest time, at least a
Yeah.
decade now, right? But it will pass, you guys. There's hope.
Well, I'm hoping that with, we have all this technology that is developing at an exponential rate. We have the AI, we have, you name it, that in the absence of being able to use something like heliotropin, we can actually develop a material that can replace it and be indistinguishable from it. That's what I'm
Mm.
hoping. But then what's if some other, uh, regulatory body swoops down and starts doing it. Just I don't know what the future holds. Ambroxan, it is beautiful. It's the overdosing, it's the overuse of
It's the
it.
overdosing.
Yeah,
Oh, for
it's
sure. Algebraist. I mean, if you watch my review of Sauvage, a lot of people hate Sauvage, right?
yeah.
Um, I don't hate it. But I always tell people, dose it sparingly if you want it to smell good. And by dose it sparingly, I mean half a spritz, and don't puddle spray. Move it away from the body and give it just a whiff, and it will be gorgeous.
Yeah.
All the bras doing 50 spritzes of Sauvage, and they're like, hey, look at me. Let me go to the club. I'm like, girl, you go
to the club with my family.
In the club, yeah.
And Brock's materials may be on the chopping block as well. Well, I guess we're fucked then. And don't forget, number 19 originally contained a dry amber molecule called amber ketal. Oh yeah, amber ketal. And also you're mentioning ambrosinide, which is actually the only instance of of ambrosinide that I've been able to detect in something and still feel like it actually works is in Amble Fatiche from Annick Goutal, a tiny amount, but most of the time.
Which year is that perfume from? Sorry.
Amble Fatiche, early to mid 2000s. I think it was part of like the there was a series. It was Amble Fatiche, Musc Nomade, Mur Ardent, and Encens Flamboyant. And I can detect like a soupçon of ambrosinide in it. But nowadays, ambrosinide is just used and abused, and it's brutal. And where does Jamal mention? There's the comments are really blowing up. It's because of you, Dacob. You're bringing everybody in. Thank you.
Come in. And by the way, you guys, JJ posted a freaking link. Send him a call. Do you have a thing for the super chats?
Oh shit! Well, they can super chat on their own, or they can buy me a coffee. If I haven't really even been advertising it. This is why
Ollie.
I need moderators.
Send JJ a tip. Come on, he's been working his butt off. He's working all the freaking time. By the way, I'm really very honored and very humbled to be here. So just FYI, I want you to send him a tip, not me. I'm not getting the money. I don't want it. I want you to support JJ. So come on, he's been working a lot. Let's see those tips rolling. And you know me. I'll ask for it. I don't care. They're like, oh, no. Like, oh my God. Somebody commented and said, oh, is Dacob still like there, like begging for $1 tip? Yes.
Ooh, where's that? Wait, hold on.
There's no shame in that. We're working our butts off to deliver the entertainment. So thank you.
I have to catch up on well, welcome, Ollie or Oli. I want to make sure it's pronounced correctly. I love Ollie. I love black cats. I love cats in general. Ollie. Thank you so much, Ollie.
Ollie is amazing. She is, listen, and Ollie knows she knows the whole tea, everything. Ollie is on it. YouTube drama, she knows it. She loves Chanel perfumes as well, and also Hermès. Speaking of Hermès, did they reformulate Cuir d'Ange?
I don't know. I have a bottle from I don't know how long
way back. Yeah, me too. I have several little 15 mLs. I travel with them. Love them to bits. But I feel like lately, man. Oh, okay. What do you think about Barenia? Did you smell it?
No, but I've heard such horrible things about it.
Me too.
A
few people told me they love it. Just like 3 or 4 people love it. The rest wrote me, Dacob, it is atrocious. Now, hear me out. The more people tell me it's atrocious, the more I'm intrigued.
I'm like that
because
too.
If the masses hate it, chances are it's good. Oh, Ollie says it's bad. Okay, there you go. All right. Mr. Calvin says, let's see those tips, Super Dacob. Oh, honey, Mr. Calvin, the amount of times I said, let me see the tips. And Calvin, the amount of times they showed them and I was disappointed.
Barenia. I heard it was just pretty much it had the structure of like a 90s fruity floral with some patchouli, and it doesn't really even feel like.
Oh, really? Narciso Rodriguez reworked.
Yeah.
I've been hearing people say that it's very bitter, like, Oh, Mr. Calvin, yeah. Be careful with me because, you want the bicycle, you're going to pedal.
Tips. My goodness. Woo-go.
What happened?
Ambrosinide is used in the discontinued Serge Lutin's Miel de Bois. Miel de Bois is quite nice. Really challenging for those who can't handle a big slug of honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty pissy.
honey can smell very acidy indeed.
Yeah.
Very few perfumes manage to harness the beautiful power of honey, and I gotta say, Bois d'Argent is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Love the honey in Bois d'Argent.
There's also a really good one from an independent perfumer, Anatole Bertrand,
Hmm.
called Bois Lumière. And it really highlights all of the facets of honey, but it is not for the faint of heart. It's somebody who's really, like, if you're a hardcore honey lover in fragrance, it is definitely worth checking out. It's a great one. And he also has this a really good one called L'Eau de Merzey, and that is the ultimate hawthorn
Oh,
fragrance.
there you go. Would you think, because I love my tuberose and my white florals, but I wouldn't mind like doing a little what like is there a chance? Do you know of any perfume that mixes tuberose with honey?
Tuberose with honey, a lot of them in
Mm.
the 80s. There was a number of
Well,
them
there
from
you
the
go.
80s.
The shoulder pad moment.
Yeah.
So which one?
God, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of some specific ones. There were some from the mid to late 80s. Maybe we're talking about Guy Laroche, Clandestine.
And then also, I'm thinking honey, tuberose, and then
Loewe Gala from the
oh really?
early 90s, actually. Really rarer
I don't
than
know that one.
hen's teeth. It is really rare, but it is magnificent. And
Honey,
it is, if
tuberose.
you like your animal magic and fragrance, that is in heavy doses. Yeah, it's lovely
How
stuff.
about tuberose, honey, ambergris?
God, I don't have that kind of mind where I can recall that. So I'm sure, you know what? I could cheat and I could try to find all three notes
No, no,
in
no, no,
my.
no, no. I'm thinking, no, no, don't tell me
Oh,
a
just
perfume
like
that already
imagining,
exists.
not one that
Could
exists, but
we create
imagining one.
one?
Could we? What, like, collaborate and release like a brand
No,
and then have that
also,
be.
sure, why not? No, but I'm thinking in general. No, I'm just thinking like, are these accords that could actually coexist together, or is that perfume going to smell terrible? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, I think it would smell fabulous.
Oh, okay. That there you go. So that's what I was thinking
Totally.
because I was like a little bit worried because I was thinking, so,
No,
but
I think
not,
it would be
I'm
great.
talking real ambergris. Okay,
Like a
mixing
nice
it with
tincture,
tuberose, an
2% at
overdose of
least.
tuberose, with
Yeah.
the camphoraceous, as we've learned today, the new word, the camphoraceous indolic aspect of tuberose, uh, with the poopy aspect of ambergris, and then the pissy honey.
Mm-hmm. Poop, piss, sweaty florals, debauchery. I'm all in. Letty Boudreau. Fans of Shaggy. Shaggy was one of the first Serge Lutin samples that I received in way back in 2007. I walked into Barney's New York because I was curious about fashion at the time,
Oh, nice.
which is
Yeah.
so evident today. I mean, look at me.
Look at us. Just two straight dude lumberjacks. Just bruz hanging around.
I was I was into very left field fashion, but I was still, keeping a pretty tight look when I was
Yeah.
in my late 20s, early 30s. But
Keeping
I was
it
just,
tight and perky.
and perky. It's got to be. So I went into Barney's New York mostly because I just was like fascinated with a high end department store, and I hadn't really wandered through Barney's New York. First time I wander into Barney's New York, what hits me? What burgeons my love affair with fragrance tenfold?
Was it
One that was
Sharky?
already there. It was just the Barney's fragrance counter in general. Like,
Oh,
I
okay,
learned
gotcha.
about
Yeah.
Frederick Malle. I beg my pardon. I learned about, Frederick Malle. I learned about Serge Lutens. I learned about a few other. I learned about the Comme des Garçons line of
Nice.
fragrances, and Chargy was one of the samples that I was given by the wonderful sales associate who had turned me on to the house. And she gave me Chargy, she gave me Cèdre, she gave me Rousse, she gave me Ambassadin and Arabi. These 5 samples, and I wore the hell out of them. And a few of those are among my favorites up even to today. So that's my answer to you, and I think it is spectacular for the autumn season.
Nice.
And beeswax absolute was used in Tever from Bulgaria. Beeswax absolute, that's another one, which is surprisingly animalic as well. Mm-hmm. We love you. I
Hi,
miss talking to
Christy.
you, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Miguel Matos Twisted Tuberose minus the honey. I have a tough time with Miguel Matos. Not as a person. I think he's quite delightful, but his compositions don't resonate with me very well. I'm an honest person with this stuff. I'm not gonna, but I don't think he's a bad perfumer. I just think that the accords that he creates, they don't galvanize that energy in me.
Oh, really? But what were
I
you like?
don't.
You threw like half a sentence of shade towards Fragrantica earlier on.
What? I always do that though. I don't even remember. What did it have to do with the notes pyramid and how they're always they're like inaccurate half of the time?
Yeah,
There's
and the
that.
owners are homophobe allegedly as well. So let's,
And they ruffle feathers too. They totally like to ruffle feathers. Like I'll still use a website because I'm not about canceling shit. I'll still put my because like it's there's millions of people at this. I don't know about millions, but tons of people who still use it. But did you see that well, I don't know if we want to open up that one because they went from Oriental to Amber and now they're back to Oriental. And you know why? Because they want to ruffle feathers. That they are provocateurs. That's how I see it.
really.
Do I commend it?
I just think they forgot. I don't think those people ponder many questions.
do I commend them for it? Do I advocate for it? Not really, but I think that there are some people who want to be provocateurs. Is it productive? Not necessarily, but yeah, I throw shade to all the websites. Actually, I think that everybody needs a good ribbing once in a while.
Yeah, no, there's this one chick from that website that wrote an article about Le Lion. No, Comet.
What did
the
she say?
Dumbest thing I've read in my. I'm like, wow. And she works for them. It was, oh my god. And in fact, she got a ton of like hate in the comments. People were like, she was like saying stupid stuff like it's a net to spend the money to. It smells terrible. It's stupid to buy it. The price is atrocious. The brand is atrocious. The design is atrocious. I'm like,
I guess we'll leave it at other people to throw their own shade there. I don't know who he's referring. Maybe one of the people that I mentioned recently, but we'll just leave that compliment.
Algebra said, "I'll be less diplomatic. He makes soups."
Ooh.
And he's he's fake edgy, thinking he's cool, attending circuit parties.
Wow.
Oh, Miguel.
He's coming.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the perfume guy.
Ooh, some people are choosing violence here. This is going to be like a notorious JJC at this point. I need some water. Can you do the talking while I clear my throat? Excuse me whilst I hydrate.
Some people just need to learn that these little numbers down here are batch codes. They're not limited edition numbers. You've been doing it. Reviews of perfumes for decades, darling, and you still haven't learned what a batch code is at Chanel?
I'm glad I had myself on mute. I was
Wait, let me describe my emotions through JJ's wheel. Disgusted.
Go to that gray pie slice.
Disgusted. Awful. Nauseated.
And I'll even throw in hesitant because sometimes I'm hesitant to just call out bullshit and get myself into trouble.
There you go.
Trouble.
And of course, shout out to their families, and of course, everything's alleged.
Thank you for the disclaimer.
Allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
In my opinion only.
So the last topic we'll do, because we're on here for, I don't know, about 10 more minutes here. Because I must be going at some point. We have sleep
We
that we
got
need.
to go.
We're underslept. So in that discussion that that Clayton had about niche, you know what I found hilarious and had me laughing is the fact that niche is now one of the largest segments.
Yes.
Of
niche is no longer niche.
No, it isn't.
And what used to be mainstream is now niche. And this is, thank you for bringing it up, JJ. This is reining it in, baby. Bringing it back in full circle. Remember, full circle, honey. The circumcised one. Okay, here's the thing. I told you at the beginning that Gautier actually mass released, but now there's niche. And here it is. Now Gautier, which was the most mass released brand, is now niche. Look at this. They brought back Gautier 2, but it's only available on the website. It's like super limited. Like you can't get it in any store. This used to be a mass released item. Now it's niche.
Now it's a niche item. And that is something that annoys the ever-living shit out of me, that people do that categorization of designer and niche as if they've never heard of a Venn diagram. That you can't have an overlap, that you can't, like a designer brand cannot have a niche release or like a niche line, or, you know, luxury things can be niche, but not all luxury things are niche. You know, come on, people, come on.
But Clayton in his video, he described the difference between the different categories of niche.
Yeah, yeah.
He said right? He said like there's the, what did he call it? The luxury niche, the actual independent niche.
Yep.
Mastiche. There's a lot of pastiche niche.
Mastiche, which is like mass appealing niche, which makes no
mass
sense.
Appealing niche, yeah.
Because if it's mass appealing, that completely contradicts the whole.
And you guys, he said in that video, he said in that presentation PowerPoint thing, what did he say? 1,500 niche releases just last year, or was it 3,000? He said a number that was enormous, and to the point where you're thinking to yourself, how? But yeah, apparently. Frederick Nietzsche.
Frederick Nietzsche.
Frederick Nietzsche. I see what you did there.
Which is certainly appropriate at this point, because things are getting really existential. So there we go.
There you go. Yeah. You know what? If I were to dedicate a perfume to Nietzsche, you know, I would definitely make one. I would call it Syphilis. Isn't that what he died of?
Yeah, and I'm just thinking of what would be the accords in that perfume.
Yeah, we should make a perfume called that. Well, definitely tuberose, because why? Because it's intoxicatingly sexual, and that's how you get syphilis. And then I would do the ambergris because of the poopy accord, because another one of the reasons why you end up getting them.
You do want to call MRSA.
Everything. You want a panty dropper? We're gonna make you a panty dropper. It's gonna be.
You know how there's like the zoology line, it's all animals, and then you have another one that's all like, you know, visual artists, authors. We'll just do one with all like STIs.
Yeah.
And like,
oh my God. And also it's amazing because JJ, and you might think, well, hold on, this is ageist now because, you know, only young people, you know, are sexually active. So how dare you make a perfume that's only for the young and blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. Look what I just passed by the other day.
STDs are timeless.
Yeah. And this is what I would use to. Isn't that amazing? I had to take a picture. I loved it. And I was like, oh, honey, eau de syphilis.
Love it. And you could do a salt, just like what Jamal says here. You could do like a solvent extraction of discharge. Talk about the EU.
Chlamydia absolute dosed generously lasts for weeks, honey.
You know what? There are some artists and perfumers who are already pulling that shit, like literally. Yeah. Like, you know, some of them that would add their chest hair, they would add, you know, their own sebaceous secretions.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk. Do you remember? This was a while ago when Mugler was still alive and kind of owned his brand still, and the Mugler Cologne came out for the first time. There was talk about like a droplet of sperm being always added to the, or like a sperm accord being in the cologne, in the Mugler Cologne.
But not literal sperm, but an accord that is meant to. Here I go with this. What is? I'm talking too much. Listen to me.
No, this is again. This is a sense of again. I forgot the word. Association. No, what did you say?
Power of suggestion.
Power of suggestion. It's because I'm spritzing a ton of perfumes as we're talking. I'm spraying them here, but JJ is reacting to me over spraying them over there.
But anyways, yeah, sperm accords.
Yeah, as we were saying.
Yeah, it's just, a typical fragrance conversation, of course. Comet
but there is a sperm accord.
No,
JJ, I do believe. Yeah, but what do they do? Like, is it like a protein type of smell?
Well, you definitely don't have proteins because proteins are not. You can't have proteins in fragrance because they don't. They don't have solubility. But things that smell like proteins and smell like secretions, like sécrétion magnifique and that sort of stuff. And I can't rattle off the top of my head exactly what materials would do that, but I know of some that would. Here we go. We have cadaverine. That was the one that I was about to mention, but young and spry Jamal beat me to it. Cadaverine is key to the smell of sperm, but is banned as it is a skin irritant despite naturally occurring in semen. But there would be maybe other types of amines, Jamal, that could be used.
I was also thinking, you guys, because there was something like a food or a drink or something that I smelled it. I was like, oh, this smells like sperm. What was it? There is something that
sperm or semen. Is that a choice? It's like Sophie's Choice. What is going on here? What do you mean? What's going on here? It's probably time for us to wrap up a little. We have 2 minutes. Actually, let's do this.
Okay.
I'm going to put this on. And this is and we'll continue talking as I play the outro music.
Oh, okay.
We'll do that. So we had a lovely conversation here. About perfume categorization, classification, and a lot of other things as well.
I mean, what's more niche than STDs?
Right. No, I really think that is a great idea. We could do a thematic line. We need more houses, more brands that tell a story. And what better way to tell a story than to use that as a starting point? It's a starting point for a lot of people in their lives. Right? So I think that if we don't choose that, maybe we should actually consider some sort of collaboration of some sort in the not so distant future. But we can talk more about that offline. So we have 40 people tuned in. This has been fantastic. We ran for over 2 hours.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for supporting JJ. Subscribe to his channel. Thumb up this video. Come on. It costs you nothing to thumb up the video.
Oh, I know about these calorie pear trees. They're planted as ornamentals, and they have, as Darren mentions, triethanolamine, one of those amines, amines that smells like semen. They do. They really do. Have you smelled the trees? These trees that they do smell like it. Yeah,
I mean, I've smelled pear blossoms, but what's collar pear?
It's actually calorie pear or Bradford pear. He left the Y out, and they do. They bloom in like April, and the whole.
Okay, so it's a particular type of pear.
Yep. It's a type
of
pear.
Is it edible, or is it a special pear only made for perfumery or something like that?
Yeah, it's not even we don't even use a perfumery. It's just the trees, they reek of spooge.
Oh my God, I remembered, JJ. I remembered. You're gonna be like, what the hell? You haven't slept 2 hours and you have these names in your mind? Yes, I am that person. Quince gives me the spunk accord.
That's funny. When it's raw or when it's cooked?
Raw. No, not turned into marmalade. No, raw quince. You cut it and you smell it. It has a We're talking quince, the actual fruit that is like all fluffy and furry on top, you know, and it's like really, you can actually eat it raw, but it's so
really
like
astringent, really
yeah.
like
I
you have
love
to cook it.
quince.
Yeah,
Of course I do.
It comes as no surprise. All right, we're going to sign off, folks. Dacob and I are going backstage to talk more about quince, and I will see you all very soon. Next week, I'm going to be doing a notes and accords live stream. We're going to be talking about aromatics, so that means primarily herbs and spices. We'll see you then. I'm getting tongue tied. Take care.
Love you loads, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, JJ.
You're welcome.